Hey everybody, how are you? I hope you all have had really a great Saturday. I wanted to come on tonight because I really wanted to share my heart about my desire to see men and women, and in particularly, I'm going to talk about our community, to move in wisdom when it comes to relationships. Because it just seems right now that there is this gender war that we're having, and we're moving based upon narratives and ideologies, and people are moving through their hurts and unresolved issues when it comes to now choosing a partner, or just even the way that we engage with one another. And I just want to share something with you tonight that I hope is going to give you pause and give you something to think about. So earlier this evening, I was listening to a video from a gentleman, and he was playing a clip of a sermon from a very notable pastor. And the pastor said in the video that, when a woman gets married, that she's not looking for love, that she's looking for her father. And he said that when the transfer of authority goes from the father to the husband now becomes the father. And I'm going to say, quite frankly, that bothered me, because I don't read anywhere in the scripture where it says that the husband is a father. I read that the Bible says that husbands are to love their wives as Christ loved the church. I read that even in Genesis, right, where it says that, the husband, that the man leaves his father and his mother, and he cleaves to his wife, and the two shall become one. I see where it says that husbands are to love their wives according to knowledge, so that their prayers may not be hindered. So I don't see any type of reference where it talks about the husband becoming the father, right? And the transference of what's really happening at that moment when the father is now giving away his daughter to this man. Really, there's just a transference of covering. It's not that he becomes her father, but because technically he's not duplicating the love of her father. He's duplicating to her the love of Christ, right? And then she, in turn, is learning now how to submit to a different type of covering based on the wisdom that her husband seeks from God when it comes to how to cover the family, right? That's that. So the gentleman whose video this was, he attempted to use this to kind of connect with a narrative that he speaks when he talks about that women are children. And so that kind of like fit right in, because he was like, see what I mean? See, women are children and they need their father, and when a woman doesn't have her father, and so forth and so on. But here's what I wanted to say about that, is that for number one, the father and the covering of the father is a divine order, right? That's divine order. We can't get around it. You're not going to make nothing different out of it. It's a divine order. He is set, the husband, he is set as the husband and the father to cover the family. But he does that through his own submission and the seeking of the wisdom of God as to how to do that. And in turn, the wife, she seeks out the wisdom and the understanding of God of how to position herself to submit to the covering of her husband so that the two can function as one, right? Okay. The problem that I'm having, or that I had with what he was saying, is that he was attempting to use scripture to try to fit a narrative that, if you really think about it, that's all out in the internet. It's just all over everywhere. All these different platforms are talking about how black men and black women can't get together, and how, everybody's having these big discussions about accountability and all of these things. But the issue becomes is that the reason why we do not know how to engage with one another, the reason why we don't know how to appropriately love one another is because in some reasons we did not see it in our home. We didn't see that order. And the bigger picture is because we don't know who we are. We don't know what we're supposed to do. We don't understand our position. There are some men who do not understand their position as the leader, and there are some women who do not understand their position as the helpmeet when they get married. All right, let me just preface this and say, you're not supposed to be submitting to a boyfriend. You submit to a husband. Let's be clear. But since we were talking about in the confines of marriage, because that's where the particular video came from, or what it referenced, if you do not understand what your position is as a husband, if you have not submitted yourself as a man to seek out the wisdom of God so that you understand how to cover your family, then for you to be on a platform talking about, what a woman needs, and, she was made for me, and, you basically are moving out of your own heart. You're moving out of your own thinking. And as a leader and as a husband, you should not be leading that way. If you say you are a leader and you're going to cover a woman, you're going to cover a household, then it is really important that you get the wisdom and understanding of God so that you know how to fulfill that. You cannot say on one hand that a woman is a helpmeet, but then believe that the only help that she's supposed to give you is by giving you children and giving you sex and feeding you food. That's not the help that's not the only help that she was created for. You have to understand who she is and what she was created to do for you. There are things that God uniquely put on the inside of her to assist you, and wherever he has said that you are to take the family. So you cannot see her as this person who only comes with a certain amount of things. You have to see her as the person who's come with the thing that supports what God has given me. And the two of us, even though I'm the leader, yes, the two of us are going to accomplish this together. That's one. Two, as a woman, you have to understand what you bring. You have to understand that the order or the position of being submitted has nothing to do with you being weak, you being incapable, you being dismissed as just this thing, with some woman with no brain or whatever the case may be. But what it is submission is a place of safety, right? And so in your submitted place, what you do is you seek out the wisdom and the understanding of God as to how do I move in this space so that I'm protected? How do I move in this position so that I support my husband to be able to peacefully be able to do what he needs to do? Because he's already going to have some outward things that are going to be coming against him. But he needs the peace of your submission to be able to assist him to move the family forward, right? But now this gentleman started to get into this space of women, who don't have fathers. And women who don't have fathers, they need you to come in and be their father. They need you to come in and and to teach them how to be and to teach them how to act and so forth and so forth. And I'm just going to say to you ladies, a man that speaks that way is not prepared to lead you at all. Because the first thing a man needs to understand is that a woman's first covering was her father. And if she does not have her father, more than likely, she's going to have that experience where she's looked for love in all the wrong places. And a woman who is traumatized by not having her father really is just grieving the loss of a covering. She didn't decide one day that she was going to wake up and choose the wrong man to have a baby with. She didn't wake up one morning and decide that she was going to go into her quote unquote masculine energy. She didn't wake up one morning and just decide that, I'm just going to go out here and just carry on and just do all of these wild and crazy things. The divine covering that she was supposed to have, she's missing. And so when a man comes into a woman's life and the only thing that he can see is that, she didn't have a father. That's why she's so wild. She didn't have a father. So, she's going to resist everything I say because you're so insistent now that you're going to lead. And really, you're not leading. You're dominating. And so what you need to understand as a man is that when you encounter a woman who has not been with her father, and even though there may have been other men in her life who came in and took that place, I know it was for me. My father wasn't around, but his brother became that person for me. He took that position and he came in and he became that person that I needed to affirm who I was as a young girl, to affirm who I was as an adult woman. He became that person. He became the guide. He became the person that I needed to do that. But still, all in all, I still had this part of me that grieved my father. But in that, I did learn how to separate what I felt about my father versus the man who was going to come in my life and love me. And that was a process. That was a process. So what am I saying? So what I'm saying is that as a man, when you encounter a woman who has not had her father, your position is not to come in and dominate to try to get her right. Your position is to now, if you really want to lead her and you really believe that this woman is going to be your life partner, that you're going to do life with her, that you believe that you're the person who has been, who God has sent her into your life to cover and to love and to cherish, then you're going to have to deal with that part of her. You're going to have to learn how to cultivate that part of her. You're going to have to learn how to nurture that part of her, so that she won't resist you, so that she can trust you, so that the feelings of abandonment won't get triggered. And yes, there is some work that she has to do. Ladies, you got to do some work too. You cannot continue to move about longing for the absence of your dad, or not dealing with the abandonment, or not dealing with the feelings or of what that means to you, because it is not the responsibility of the man to come into your life and love the hurt of your father away. There are only certain places that God can touch. And so that is a work that you have to allow God to do, so that when he comes in, you can recognize and you can see and you can experience the genuineness of the love that he has for you, the genuineness of the care that he has for you, the genuineness of him saying that you can trust me. So there's work to do, but we got to get past all of these. We got to get past this blame game. We got to get past this. Well, if she did this, then I would be able to do that. And if he did that, I'd be able to do this. We have to get away from it. We got to get to a place where we can understand that both of us, when we come into relationship together, that both of us have experienced some things. Both of us have experienced some things that caused us to make life choices that brought trauma, that brought hurt. We have to understand that we have both hurt each other, and we have to be able to experience and be sympathetic to where life has taken each of us. We have to be able to do that. And so I say all of this because I tell you that my heart really, really hurts when I keep hearing all of these conversations about everything is the man's fault, and women never take accountability for anything, and accountability is kryptonite to women, and women saying that men never take accountability for anything, and that, either he's a dusty, or he don't know how to lead, or he's intimidated by me. No man is intimidated by you. He just doesn't like how you talk to him sometimes. He doesn't like your disposition sometimes. And sometimes, ladies, you need to check your disposition. If a man is coming into your life and he's coming in genuinely to love you, stop vetting him through the people who hurt you and deal with that. Don't vet him through, boo-boo over there who hurt your feelings and left you and all. Don't vet him through that. Vet him for who he is. Perfect example. I was married for 22 years. I got divorced in 2016. So it's been like 7 years now since I've been divorced. But I'm newly now in a relationship that is 4 years old. And the person that I am with right now, I am with him because I took the time to understand and to get over the things that hurt me within my marriage and even the things prior to my being married that I had not dealt with. And so now when I look at him and I love him not because he's not my ex-husband. I love him for who he is. And I have vetted him for who he is. And some of you are not vetting people for who they are. You're vetting them to see if they are the person who you left. And you cannot do that. If we're going to come together, if we're going to have healthy and loving relationships, we have to move forward in wisdom, not in the hurts, not in the bitterness. We can't keep having these separate silos of the manosphere and the red pill and the pink space and the something to the something. And everybody's just spewing all of these narratives that have nothing to do with whether or not you can be a partner in a healthy, loving relationship. Nothing. It has nothing to do with it. We don't want to be accountable for anything. We want the other person to always be accountable, but we don't want to be accountable for anything. If we're, I hear men talking about single mothers. Well, if she's a single mother, that means that how did she become a single mother? Why is she a single mother? Now, does she have to take some responsibility for being a single mother? Yeah, I would say so. Because for some of us, some women, you pick somebody you shouldn't have picked. Let's be honest about that. Like, at least be honest about the situation you're in. A lot of us like to act as if the person we picked, when they get real crazy and the mess hit the fan, that all of a sudden we didn't see what was going on with them, that they came out with this type of behavior or disposition or attitude, or they started doing something that we were totally blindsided by. And maybe in some instances that happens. But I'm a firm believer in this, that when you're in a relationship with somebody, it doesn't take them that long to demonstrate who they are. And sometimes what we do is we will reason away the thing that we see because we want the momentary pleasure of what they bring to us. And we see things. We see they're not committed. We see that he may not have a good judgment. We see she don't have good judgment. We see certain things. But because of what they bring to us in the moment, we reason that stuff away. And then now here you are, 5 years later, you're about to marry them. And the very thing that you reasoned away is now the thing that shows up in the marriage. And now it looks like a crisis. Now, oh my God, he's a narcissist. Oh my God, he's toxic. Oh my God, she's too masculine, or whatever the case may be. Oh, she don't want to submit. She don't want to listen to me. Well, you saw that dating. For the most part, listen, nobody is going to convince me that some of the things that we see with people once we marry them, that we didn't see it while we were dating them. We did. But we wanted what we wanted. And you got to be honest about that. Be honest. Stop acting like all of a sudden now when you got married to them, they completely changed into this different person. No, they didn't. It just looks bigger now because you're married to him. It looks bigger because the emotional investment is different. Now it's a lot on the line. So it just looks different. It looks insurmountable at this point. So what am I saying? What I'm saying is this, that as Black people, right, we got to get it together. We got to do better than this. We do not have to use the internet to keep fighting and arguing and playing this game about who should be more accountable and, who's not accountable. And, all he want is this and all she want from me is this. If you are a man of stature, if you are a man who is of quote unquote high value, right? Whatever that means, and you're working hard and you're doing things, we should not be hearing you talking about how you keep meeting quote unquote 304s. How are those types of women in your circle? Why are you having conversations about women? Why you have a whole big platform talking about women that you wouldn't date anyway? Why are you having conversations about those types of women? And it is the same, and it's the same thing for the women. Now you telling me you the boss something and you the boss something and you the whatever. But why are you having a whole platform talking about dusties? Why are you having a whole platform spending your time talking about how a man ain't this and he's not that and he's toxic and he's a narcissist? And by the way, how is it that as a woman, yep, I'm gonna go there, as a woman, how is it that you can automatically check out his mental capacity? All of a sudden you become a psychologist now and you know everything, you know him to be a narcissist, but you don't know anything about his character, which is what you should have been looking at first. Because if you looked at his character first, I suffice to say that you probably would have never had to deal with any type of narcissistic tendencies that he had. We don't look for the right things. We are vetting people on things that don't mean anything. We don't vet people for the right things. And then we end up vetting them for the shallow stuff. You want him to make 6 figures when you can't budget 5. You want her to submit to you, but your life has no kind of direction at all. You have no plan. You have no vision. You can't even communicate and articulate to her where you are going. And it don't make you a bad man, but it does mean that you are not completely prepared. So why fuss and why make this whole platform about how some woman won't submit to you when you don't have a plan? Like, I need all of this to make sense for me, but I want better. I just want better for us, and we can do better. We can do better. Now, some of y'all probably won't receive nothing I'm saying, and that's okay. But I'm going to say it anyway. Because what I can't do is sit in the background and keep saying that don't make no sense. Well, why is she doing that? Well, why did he say this? Why are all of these platforms saying this and I don't say anything at all? I hear a lot of the younger people talking about how they want someone older, that they want to see the elders to come forward. Well, here I am. Here I am. And I'm willing to share wisdom. I'm willing to impart things. I have no problems with being transparent because I didn't do it right. I won't never act as if just because now that I'm older that I didn't do some things early on in my life that didn't make no sense. It didn't make any sense. And so what I'm just saying is that we need to dial it back. We need to dial this back. We need to get out of all of the analysis of who's a narcissist and who's toxic and who's codependent and who. We need to get out of all of that and just get to the heart of the matter and say, listen, do you know how to be somebody's wife? Are you prepared to be somebody's husband? Do you have what it takes to engage in a healthy relationship? Where are you emotionally? Where are you mentally? Do you have the wherewithal just to be somebody's friend? Do you have the wherewithal to do that? Some of the things that I hear people say, I heard a conversation with some women and they were talking about, well, if we go out somewhere and he asks me to make his plate, I ain't making no plate for him. Well, wait a minute. This is the dude you just said, he's my friend. This is the one who he loves me. How could you possibly be offended be offended by asking your friend? By asking the person who says that he loves you, that he cares for you? How could you possibly be offended by asking him, or him asking you, I should say, honey, could you make me a plate? What's offensive about that? Making a plate is a simple kindness. It's not a chore. It's a simple kindness to a person that you say you love. And it is the same thing with the men. Why do you reduce her to just the person who give you something in the bed? Why is she reduced to the person who just got to follow your orders? When you're in that space and you've reduced her to that, that suggests to me that you don't know who she is. You don't know her value. You don't understand what she's made of. You don't know the value that she brings to you. I don't mean to sound like I'm fussing, but maybe I am fussing. But I just want us to get better. It's enough already. We have children. We have children who are in the middle of these fights. We have children who are in the middle of these fights. We have people laying up who are having children who shouldn't be having children. And now when a relationship doesn't work, we have children who are in the middle of two adults who cannot get themselves together. In some instances, we have a woman who's at home whose children are now subjected to her trying to deal with the fear and the anxiety and the frustration of having to deal with these children and to raise these children possibly alone. We now have men on the other side who are angry because they want to be able to spend time with their children, to be able to spend weekends with them and take them out on summer vacations. And all because he no longer wants you now use the children as a pawn. That's wrong. We just need to say what's wrong. Let's get past all of the analytical terms. Let's get past all of the diagnostics and just say what it is. That's wrong. It's just wrong. Are there things that men are talking about today that women need to be aware of? Absolutely. And we need to be open enough and mature enough to hear what they're saying. Are there things that women are saying that men need to hear? Absolutely. And men need to be open enough and mature enough to hear it. Some of you all are so indoctrinated in women's empowerment and manosphere and high value and boss this and boss that. You are so indoctrinated with those things that you can't even hear. You can't hear what the other person is saying. How do we get past this if nobody's listening? If everybody's ready to spew some old talking point they heard from somebody's platform? Some of you are so entrenched in what you've heard in various places that when someone is speaking, the first thing you spew out is something you heard on somebody's platform. You didn't even hear that the person agreed with you. We got to do better. We have to do better. Some of us are too old for this. If you in your 30s, you're too old for this. You're too old. You're too old to be sitting here talking about somebody is toxic when you can't even judge whether or not he has character. You in your 30s and you're a man and you're talking about leading somebody and you can't even articulate her vision. You're too old for that. You should be able to communicate and articulate what that is. You can't beat your chest and say, follow me, and then have no place to go. And you can't articulate a simple portion of the plan or a simple part of the vision so that she can understand it. We have to get past this. We just have to get past it. Accountability goes two ways. And if we are going to understand each other, if a man is going to understand the behaviors of a woman that look to him that are like, why is she acting like this? You're going to have to understand her condition first. And if you don't want to understand her condition, that's cool. Just leave her alone. But you don't get to bash and dismiss her because you don't understand her condition, or you have no desire to understand it so that you can get to know who she is. Move it along. And it's the same thing with you women. In order to understand the behavior of a man, you got to understand his condition. And I will tell you this. One thing I told my fiance today was this. Something that I heard, and I said to him, I said, you know what? I said, one of the reasons I believe that men get so angry when it comes to accountability is because there are men who, and in particularly, with black men, they have had to deal with oppression. They've had to deal with being marginalized. They've had to deal with trying to press through things in spite of, to either provide for themselves or to provide for their families and to be able to walk in dignity and respect. And so when a man who has been focused, who has been disciplined, and who has pushed through to get to where he is, to only have a woman stand in his face and tell him that he's not accountable, or to only stand in his face and be disrespectful, that's hurtful. It is hurtful. And I'm going to say it on the other side. For a woman to have had to make some things happen on her own, for her to decide to go to school, for her to decide to, move forward in her career and to, put herself in a place financially. And then to be willing to give herself to a man, for her to be willing to want to give what she's gained and to share it with him. Not just the knowledge, not just her skills and who she is, but to share possibly to her where she is financially with you. And for you to stand in her face and tell her she's not attractive because you find her masculine, that is hurtful. It's hurtful. And we have to get to a place where we learn how to appreciate each other, faults and all. Faults and all. I've rambled. Matter of fact, no, I didn't ramble. I said what I wanted to say. And I am hoping that I said something tonight that will give you pause. I'm hoping I said something tonight that's going to cause you to think about what you say before you say it. That's going to cause you to consider, am I who I'm asking for? Can I do what I'm asking for? Can I give what I'm asking for? Am I really the leader? Can I really come together with him and submit myself under the vision that he believes that God has given him so that we can move together as one? And even if he's not my husband, can I still just honor him as my friend? Even if she's not my wife, can I still just honor her as a woman? Can I still encourage him? Can I still encourage her? Can I still support what they're doing? Because I just want to see them win. Because if they win, my community wins. And that's what this is about. This is about our community winning. We got work to do. Y'all gonna hear from me, because I'm gonna keep coming and I'm gonna keep giving some of this information because it's time. Y'all have a good rest of your Saturday. Bye.